Hello? Sir, are you speaking something? You're muted.
Oops. Good. Sorry, I was speaking actually. Um, okay, let me recap. So what we will be doing, we will be designing balanced amplifier. A balanced amplifier is an amplifier with two parallel amplifiers, such that there is an amplifier A, amplifier B, and you have input and an output coupler, which means an coupler is something which splits your power into two halves and also at the same time ensures a phase difference of 90 degrees. And what we have studied in the lectures, what you will do, you will take an amplifier, do a DC bias, select a bias point using a given transistor model. Transistor model is nothing but it's like a S parameter characterized model. And then once you have that, then you will look for stability. You will stabilize your transistor. You will look for gain circles. You will try to design for maximum gain at source, maximum gain at load. Once you have that, you will go and run EM simulation of the matching structures, put it back and see what performance you get. So balanced amplifiers are commonly used because they have an advantage. The advantage is, first of all, the if one of the amplifier chains stops working, the second still being in parallel, the second still works. The second thing is that a balanced amplifier structure, your gain is basically same across the branches, and if um, using input and output coupler helps you in giving a better VSWR at input and output. So first phase is designing an amplifier. I will see how time goes, and then we will design couplers. So usually what happens is that, this is how our amplifier circuit looks like. It's a very simple. I used to do this kind of a course where we used to also fabricate it. So how does it look like that? The transistor is sitting here in the center, the black thing if you see. Then I have a input resistor and a resist. I have some resistor network for stability. Then I use stub and series transmission line for matching at input, similarly matching an output. And what impedance you match to, that has to be determined by uh, using basically um, the gain circles and the stability by the stability analysis. If you see up here, there are two bias line. One is for the input or the gate, another is for the drain. Bias line design is also interesting because it has to be designed in a specific way. We will go over it. The idea is when you are designing an amplifier, it you give DC through it, but RF signal flows in this direction. Okay. Now what happens is when RF signal flows in this direction, you want to make sure that no RF goes in this path and no DC goes in this path, which means you want to create kind of an open circuit for your RF path looking towards the bias line. So we'll talk about how to design those bias lines. And once you have these amplifiers, these are 3 dB couplers. So you use coupler at input, you use these two amplifiers in parallel and then combine it using another coupler, and you do full characterization. Of course we don't have a lab, or we are not doing a physical lab, so we won't be characterizing it, but we will try to replicate all this phenomena, all this behavior in simulation. So I uploaded a transistor model. So first of all, before we start, everyone has access to ADS. Okay, good. So what we will do here today is you guys first open your ADS screens. I will keep telling, or I will keep giving instructions. You keep doing at your end. If you are not following up, just stop me right there, because I don't want to keep repeating things. So better you stop me if you are not following it up. So I have uploaded .7z file. Right click and unzip that on your computer. When you will unzip, you will see this name ATF38143FF underscore work. So to open that file, go for a file, open workspace, and then go and select basically go and select the file where that workspace is. So wherever your workspace is, just go and select that file. Let me close this and relaunch it. File, open, workspace. So it's 7Z file. I will unarchive it. I hope all of you are able to unarchive it. So just extract here. So you will see a file name ATF3814 underscore work. This is the file you have to open in ADS. So you will go file, open, workspace, and then you will select this file. So it will open. Is that done? So this is how ADS looks like. This is ADS main window. It is called workspace. So everything is done in this workspace. Basically what this workspace do, you can make your schematics, you can run simulations, you can create layouts, you can run electromagnetic simulations, and then you can display your data. So this has two parts right now. One is called schematic, another is called symbol. So if you go and double click schematic, this is what transistor model looks like. So it is a gas FET. Okay, you don't have to play with anything here. So what basically they have done, this is like a current source, and then they have modeled the extrinsic and the intrinsic network and the package effects of the transistor using lumped elements, and you guys won't have to change anything inside this. So this is already a model which is created. So what basically we will do, it has it also has a symbol which has a gate, drain, and source. Okay, so this transistor we will be using. Okay, we will be using this transistor. So first step is, let's create a new schematic. Go file, schematic, and say DCIV. So first step will be to do DCIV of the transistor. So you can name it whatever you want, DCIV of the transistor. Okay, and create schematic. So once you click create schematic, you will see this window. Okay, so this is main schematic window. Here are the panels. So ADS has different panels. You can do S parameter simulation by clicking on S parameter panel. Then there is something called as lumped component. If you want to use L, C, R, RC in parallel, series, capacitor, inductor, there are different sorts of components. Then there are different DC component if you want to do a DC simulation. So step one will be to create like a template where we can do DC simulation. Okay, so for DC simulation, we basically what we will do is that we will use like a transistor model. We will first take the transistor model. So you go here, click the symbol, right click it, and click place component. Once you do place component, go to your other screen and place it. So you see, this is basically your transistor, and if you go inside it from here, push into hierarchy on the top, you will see this model. So this model basically a symbol of it has been created so that we can use this instead of that big and bulky model. So step one is to create a DCIV bench, which means that if we have a transistor, how do we characterize for basically for the DC? So let me quickly explain you what DCIV is and why it is important. And again, guys, because it's hard to know exactly if you're following or not. So if something is not clear, please stop me, because that helps me in understanding whether you are up to the speed or not. So let me so basically step one is DCIV. Okay, so what we are doing is, so what is DCIV? This means I have a FET. So I have drain, I have gate, and I have source. So what I want to do, I want to plot variation of current IDS versus VDS for different value of for different VGS. Also, I want to plot IGS versus VGS. So the first one, right? How the first one looks like is, so you have IDS here, you have VDS here, and you will sweep different VG. VG means gate to source voltage. Okay. So if the device is off, there won't be any current. Okay, current will be zero. Now when device turns on, when the VG at certain value of VGS, device turns on and then current starts flowing. Okay, so you see here, so this will be, say, VGS not, VGS1, VGS2, VGS3, VGS4, and so on. Okay, then you will plot IDS versus VGS, which helps us to determine where the device turns on. So for a given value of VGS, current will be zero, and then current starts to increase and then saturates. So this point where your current starts to increase is called pinch off. V pinch off, which means if your VGS is less than V pinch off, okay, your device will be what? Your device will be off. Device will be off. If your VGS is greater than V pinch off, your device will be on. And when it is on, it means it is drawing current. So for example, if you bias below this, your device is not drawing any current, and this is usually called as class C, a class C amplifier. Okay, when you are right at pinch off, where you are drawing little bit of current, this is called class B. Okay, then if you keep increasing your gate voltage and you start drawing some current, which is usually Imax by 2, this is called class A. And in between A and B, somewhere, if you bias somewhere here, this is called class AB. So usually you would have seen audio amplifiers which are used in the car. They're linear amplifier. Most of them are actually class A amplifiers, class A amplifiers, which are used heavily in the sorry, oh my god, which are basically called class A amplifiers. Okay, so these classes of operation, from class C, class B, class AB, class A. So if you go in this direction, it's more linear. Okay, so class A will be more linear than class C, and if you go in this direction, your efficiency decreases. Okay, your efficiency will be less. And if you are in class B or class C, efficiency will be higher, but your amplifier will be very non-linear. If you go in class A, your efficiency will be lower, but your amplifier will be very linear. So it depends on the application, and depending on the application, you choose class of operation. Okay. So now this is what we have to do. We have to bias our device. So to bias our device, what basically we will need, we will just take transistor. So at the gate, we will connect it to 50 ohms. At the gate, we will put a RF choke. Let me explain you what RF choke does. Okay. And I will sweep my VGS. Similarly, at the drain, I will put a RF choke. VDS. I will sweep my VDS and I will probe here. I will put like a current probe and I will try to measure what current I have. Okay. And here I will have DC blocks. Okay. So now why do you need RF choke? There are two elements for biasing. One is RF choke. Another is DC cap. So why do you need RF choke? Because when a transistor is, what this transistor will do, this will give an RF output. So when it is giving an RF output, you don't want that RF to go here in DC path. No DC. Why? Because if RF goes to the DC, because this DC is usually connected to a DC supply, like it will be connected to a DC supply. Okay. So when it is connected to a DC supply, if RF goes into this, it can burn, it can burn your supply. So you don't want that. So to make sure that that doesn't happen, you use a big inductor here, which ensures that looking into this direction at your fundamental frequency, it's open circuit. So which means that your impedance is big enough, or you are putting a lambda by 4 line. So if you guys remember, if this is short and you have a lambda by 4 line on a Smith chart, what happens is you are here, and if you have lambda by 4 line, how much is lambda by 4 line in terms of rotation on Smith chart? If you see, lambda by 4 is what? Lambda by 4 is 90 degrees electrical length, but it's equal to 180-degree rotation on Smith chart, because and the total rotation 360 degrees. Your total rotation is 360 degrees, so your lambda by 4 is actually 180-degree rotation. Okay. Your lambda by 2, if you see the Smith chart, lambda by 4 is this much. On a Smith chart, this is 0.25 lambda always. Okay. So if you are short here and you have a lambda by 4 line, this point will be what? Open. So you also use transmission line for biasing your device. So that's one thing. And then you use DC cap in series, because if by chance there is any DC component flowing, you don't want that, because you will connect this to a signal analyzer or a spectrum analyzer. So you don't want any DC component to go into this, because it can also impact your signal analyzer. You don't want to destroy this, you don't want to destroy it, so you use choke and a DC cap here. So let's first try to make a DC bench and try to simulate this transistor and plot the DC IV curves. Okay, so let's do that. Go back to your ADS. So you place this. So after placing this, we will first go to lumped components, and as I explained, you will need two things: DC feed and DC block. So let's go and first get DC feed. So if you see here on the panel, you will see there is something called as DC feed. Bring it, click it here. Why can't I see my mouse? and then connect the DC feed. Oh, I know what's happening. Connect the DC feed to the gate and the drain of the transistor. Okay. So I will connect this at the gate. And similarly, I will connect this at the drain. So if you click here, you can always press Ctrl R and it will rotate. Okay. So it's wire here. Snap it. So you have connected your DC feeds. Now this DC feed will be connected to the DC block. So in the series path, take DC block from the palette and connect these DC blocks here. So basically you will connect this. Okay. And once you have this, you will then go to simulation as parameter and put like termination here. These termination are 50 ohm ports. So go in S parameter simulation and here you will find term, TERM. Use that. And then you can ground your ports. Okay. And source will also be grounded. So put a ground here, put a ground here. So basically what you have done so far is you have created choke, you have created DC block. And now what you will do, you will supply DC voltage. Okay. So for voltages, there is something called as, if you drop down, sources frequency domain. Okay. From here, go to VDC. So this VDC first will be VGS. Okay. Then you connect VGS here. And the other port will be grounded. So go take this ground. Control R is for rotation. And then similarly, you take here and do VDS. Okay. And make sure you have selected the unit as volts, or you can just click it and type it V. Okay. Now this is just the schematic part. Now we will have to add the stuff which we will use for simulation basically. So what you will do, you want to do what? You want to do DC sweep. So you will go and first select simulation as DC, and you will bring a DC palette here, which means that you are doing a DC simulation. It says parameters to sweep. So you have to first define what you want to sweep. You want to sweep VGS and you want to sweep VDS. So you will go make variable as VGS, and if you double click it, you can also add VDS and press add button. So you have VGS, just put any value 0,0. Now once you have this, you go to DC sweep.
So where this term resistor?
Okay. Termination.
Okay, sir.
Simulation.
Okay, sir.
You just take it. Okay, I will wait. Just everyone make it and then we will proceed. So once you have this in place, you will say what parameter you want to sweep. So say we want to sweep VDS. And now the question is, how do you know how much you want to sweep? So for that, I have uploaded data sheet, something called as data sheet of the transistor. So why data sheet is important? The reason for that is when you buy any given transistor, okay, you get data sheet along with it, which means that you basically don't know what that transistor does. So a manufacturer will give you data sheet about that, talking about what transistor it is, what transistor, what that transistor does, what are the maximum voltages of it, and so on. So this transistor is manufactured by a company called Avago, which is now known as Broadcom. It's a very big company. They make chips, chipsets, and they are pretty famous all over the world. They're based out of California, and they are quite good, right? So now, if you look at this will show, when in physically you will buy transistor, it will have 8px written, so you will know what is drain and what is gate, because you don't want to bias randomly. You want to know which drain is positive, sometimes gate is positive or gate is negative. So it's very important to understand and see the device properly. Now if you go down, there are some ratings. It says VDS, drain to source 4.5, VGS, gate to source -4. So these are absolute maximum rating. It means drain source voltage cannot go beyond 4.5. Gate to source voltage cannot go beyond -4. Okay. And then it says what is the maximum drain current, and then it shows different curves. It is showing here IDS as a function of VDS, right? So it is sweeping your current, your voltage, and it is sweeping VGS, and it is plotting ID versus VGS, which we will do now. And then it also shows what is the maximum current typically is achievable at a given bias. So which means if you take this bias, that's the maximum you can get. If you try to try to over change the bias or increase the bias, say beyond 4.5 volt, it will break the transistor. So you always want to be within those limits. You never want to cross those limits. That's the main focus. So as we have seen here in this case, let's sweep VDS, my voltage up to from 0 to 4. So what I will do, I will double click it and go from say 0 to 4 volts in step size of 0.1. And what is the parameter to sweep? VDS. Okay. Apply. Okay. So this is sweeping my, what it is doing, it is sweeping my drain voltage. Okay. Now that's only one sweep. As we mentioned earlier, we want to sweep another thing which is called which is my VGS. So what I will do, I will take this token of parametric sweep, which means that I want to sweep something as other as well, and parameter to sweep will be VGS in this case. For this particular transistor, I will sweep my VG. I will sweep my VG from say this transistor can go negative. So say from -2 to 0.4 volts in step of 0. Maybe 2, because it will be very fine otherwise. So apply OK. Okay, so this parameter sweep is sweeping what? VGS. But you also have to give that for each VDS you want to sweep VGS, which means for every single value you would like to sweep your gate to source voltage. Okay, so when you do that, you also have to tell your parametric sweep that it has to point to something. So basically this sim instance name here should be DC1, which means double click it, go to sim instance 1, it's here, type here in columns DC1. So this means that VGS will be swept for every value of DC1, and in DC1 we are sweeping VDS. So you sweep VDS, and for each value of VDS sweep, you will be sweeping VGS. So once this is set up, try to set this up and then hit simulate button. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So what it is, before we do that, what you have to do is you will have to also make sure you know what you are plotting, which means that you want to plot what you want to plot current, right? So I told you we will need to probe current. So technically what we want to do, we want to measure what is the current here at the drain. So we will go again and go to probe components. If you go down, you will find probe components. Click that and then iProbe. So iProbe means your current. So you can change this to IDS. And then you just use this IDS here. The drain current should always be in the direction of flowing towards the device. So technically we have to mirror this, and I am not, it's here. Let me try. Okay. Or you can just rotate it like Control R. So if you rotate it, you want to make sure the current is flowing towards the device. Okay. So in this particular case, you will put this IDS so you know what your current is. Now once you have all this, you will hit simulate button, and now simulation will run. Okay. Once simulation runs, a data display window will open. You hit the rectangular button, and what do you want to plot? You want to plot IDS versus VDS. Okay. Beautiful. And you want to plot IDS versus VGS. Because now you have a lot of VDS, so many curves are coming. We will look into it later. So tell me first thing, is everyone able to get this curve, IDS versus VDS? Let me go back so that if in case you haven't got it. So what we are doing in DC, we are giving VDS sweep. Now, because our objective is that for every VDS, we want to sweep VGS. So we give a parametric sweep. What we are sweeping VGS. And then we are referring the instance to DC1, because for each VG, it will go back to DC, it will run all the VDS, then it will come to next VG, then it will run all the VDs and so on. So now you see, once you do all this, you hit the simulate button. Once you hit the simulate button, you can plot ID versus VDS and ID versus VGS. If you want, you can even increase your this thing. You can go all the way up to 1 plus 1. Okay. Yeah. So you can go all the way up to plus 1. Now you see, is everyone following this? Daksh, are you able to follow this? Hello, Arvind?
Yes, sir. Some not completely.
So ask na.
No, sir.
What-
But I'm trying. Like I have not attended the last few classes, so I will try at home and then again I will ask.
No, it has nothing to do with the classes. If you are following what I'm doing now, it is
Yeah, sir.
completely.
I can follow that. I'm not really able to understand the concept, but I'm able to follow this.
Okay.
Okay.
सर पैरामीटर स्वीप में सर वो DC1 कैसे पैरामीटर पास करे?
So go here.
Go here.
Simulation DC.
DC.
and take this. So you have to use these two of
Sir, just parameter sweep. DC.
yeah, DC or parameter. Yes, this one.
Okay. Sir, this name one is not set. I cannot set name one to DC one. How to do that?
Just click and then put inverted commas.
Okay, sir.
Deepak, are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Ritij? Oh, Ritij is not here. What about Prabhanshu?
Yes, sir, following.
Okay, good. Okay, guys. Please, again, if you are not able to, follow, please stop me and ask. Don't be shy, because there is no point of sitting here and being shy, because I'm wasting my time then, right? It's better you get something out of it. So now you see you have now DCIVs. Now the interesting thing is, okay, how to, once you have this, then what was Manas? Are you able to plot DCIV curves or not yet?
Sir, not yet, sir.
Okay, what is the problem?
So I'm facing problem in giving names to VGS and VDS in this VAR actually, and then the subsequent steps.
Did you define VAR?
So yes, sir, I defined VAR, but I defined VGS equal to 0, but VTS is equals to 0. I mean, this
Okay,
assigning
just
value.
use another token
Okay, sir. Okay.
and make this.
And sir, the subsequent steps, sir. I mean,
So once you have done this, is DC. This is DC1. Just type parameters 0 to 4 with step of 0.1, or maybe you can do whatever 0.5. Apply OK, and then similarly parameter to sweep, in parameter sweep is VGS, start, stop, step size and number of points. Once you write step size, automatically it takes number of points. Then apply OK. And then you will have to go to this button and go to probe components, which is here. Click that and then click current probe. Bring current probe here. Current should always be going towards the drain. Current flows to the device. Current does not flow to the load at the drain. Just rotate it and place it here like this. And you can rename it by clicking as IDS. Okay. And then once you are done with this, then you hit the simulate button. Did you get it, Manas?
sir, it's giving an error. Says no name nodes were found.
Yeah, so for error is coming, you haven't defined component IDS. So for this, click here, go to probe
Okay, sir. Probe components.
and select I, which means current probe. And then just rotate it and place it here. Make sure to delete this, otherwise it will show. And name it as IDS.
Okay, sir.
Sorry. Hello. Somebody was saying something.
Yes, it was me. Actually, someone else's mic was on and there was a lot of echo. So I was
Yes,
just requesting them to.
understand, yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I'm just waiting. If you are done, Manas, please let us know. Just let us know if you are able to. If your error is gone, let us know. And once it is gone, just plot. Hello.
Sir,
Hello.
no error is not gone, sir. It's giving an error.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
You can still do run anyway.
Manas. No,
Yes,
if what error is there?
sir, it's saying that node name node name is not defined. It's saying that also, but I did those steps. I mean, it
Can you
says
share
node. Sir, I can do that, sir. Just give
I'm
me a
sorry.
minute.
Please go and present now. On the bottom now. Just
Just
click that.
just give me a minute, sir. I'm just doing that.
Okay. So Deepak, tell Manas what are the problems in his schematic. First thing, source should be grounded. Your source is not grounded. Go bring the ground up. You see ground, yeah. Just bring that and connect it with both source. Second thing, your VDC on the left hand side, the VDC equal to 1 volt, that should be VGS. So click one and type it as VGS. Yeah, that's right. VGS. Same as variable name. Okay. And click there again. VGS space, give the unit as, double click that. Yeah, VGS space V, capital V. Okay, good. Now similarly for the VDC at the drain, you have to define it as VDS. Same as variable name. VDC is equal to VDS. Very good. VDS space V. Exactly. Can you zoom out a bit? I want to see your DC settings. Zoom out. Yeah. So VGS, okay. Double click DC one. So this is good. Okay. Just run it now. No. Okay. Yeah, you can still run it. Don't show this message again. Run anyway. Okay. Now click the rectangular plot. Click IDS.I. Add versus. No. Add versus. On the right, you see add versus. No. Go cancel it again. Go again. IDS, then add versus. Click add versus. Yeah. And then select VDS. Okay. So you see, you only see one curve because you are not sweeping VGS. Go back to your schematic. Click parametric sweep. Double click that. So let's see what problem you are having here. So you are saying sweep VGS from -2 to 2. Oh, there is a space between DC and 1 in your sim instance name. No, cancel this. Go to sim instance name and there is a space between DC and 1. That space should not be there. Exactly. Now run it again. You see? You
Yes,
got
sir.
it. You got it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Now send me Paytm. Okay, so let me go back. I'm sharing back again. You guys share my see my screen, right? So if you see the maximum current for this particular combination, it is almost going 478 milliamp. So if I go back to my data sheet now, I will see that for a given device, I cannot exceed more than my current limiters. So for this given condition, IDS 1.5 and VGS 0, I can go max up to 145 milliamp. And the maximum current IDS is given by IDSS. So IDSS will be always dependent on what voltages you choose. Okay. So now our challenge is that we first, okay, we did this. So we know that VG is changing. For every curve, there is a different VG. VGS 0.5, VGS 0.25, VGS 0.0, and so on. 0, minus 2.5. For minus 0.75, it is off. So no current is drawn. So now let's fix a VDS. So let's take a VDS which is in the center so that we are in the safe spot, because we don't want to operate here. Because if we operate here, there will be a swing, RF swing, and you might burn your device. So we will operate here at 2 volts. So let's fix 2 volts in DC1 and make it as a single point, and say 2 volts. Apply OK and rerun it. So when you rerun it, you see this beautiful curve, which is IDS versus VGS profile, which I was explaining you earlier. In this, I was explaining you that how you define classes of operation. You are exactly getting the same curve. So if you again put the marker on this curve, you see if your VGS is minus 1.5, your current is 0. Now, if you increase VGS, I'm changing VGS now for a fixed VDS, your current increases. Now my VGS is minus 0.75, current increases a little bit. Then when my VGS is minus 0.5, I have some more current, which is around 18 milliamps. Then I increase my VGS more, minus 0.25, it's 0.060. And then at VGS equal to 0, my current is 0.118. So if I want to design a class A amplifier, I will be choosing my VGS in somewhat in this region, because this is class C, no current. So here you see no current. Then little bit current, it is like class B. Okay. Then little more current, that is like class AB. And then finally, this is like class A amplifier. Okay. So if I want to select my bias condition for this amplifier, it will be VDS 2 volts and VGS 0 volts. So in the same DC-IV thing, VDS is 2 volt and VGS will be 0 volts. So I'm doing this analysis just to select what should be my quiescent voltages, and for this particular condition, I get this current 118 milliamps. And what you can do you now, since you know VGS, you can have a single point of 0 volts. Apply OK. Simulate it again. Once you simulate it, go to simulate DC annotation, annotate pin current. So it will show you what is the current at each node. So here the DC current is 118 milliamp, which we found by sweeping the curves as well. So if you wish, you can go back and reset, press Ctrl Z and reset the DCs to the sweep so that you have it. And with this, we know that my VDS will be 2 volts and my VGS will be 0 volts. This will help me in biasing my transistor in class A operation. So this is all about DCIV. Once you are done with it, then close it and keep saving it so that later you can practice it, and save changes. Yes. So I come back here on my main screen. So this is my DCIV of the transistor. Now let's use the same thing and right click and say copy cell and rename it as S parameter. Now we will do S parameter simulation of the transistor. Okay. Open it. Now for S parameter simulation, your VDS, VGS are fixed. So you don't need these buttons. You can remove them. Okay. And your schematic will be the same, but VDS is single point and VGS is single point, because now we really we really fix the biases, and now we will calculate S parameters. So from here, everything will be done using simulation S parameters. Okay, go there, bring the SP token, and the SP basically you can sweep your S parameter. So in this case, let's say we sweep it from, double click it, and we sweep it from say 100 megahertz to 10 gigahertz with a step size of say 100 megahertz. Okay, apply OK. So once you click this simulate, it will simulate, and then you can plot all the S parameters. You can plot S11, just do some basic plotting. Then you can plot S21. Okay. So S11 looks very bad, right? Usually you want S11 to be a very high negative value, because what is S11 is 20 log return loss. If your return loss is basically 1, it means that there is you don't want any reflections, right? So you technically want this 20 log value to be as high as negative in dB as possible, right? And right now it's not very good because you are not matched. You have just put a random 50 ohm impedance at input and output, which your transistor is not seeing. Your transistor might be seeing some complete different impedance. Then your S21 is the gain of the transistor. We studied this in last lecture. Okay. So before we do that, let's first do stability analysis. Okay. So if you remember from the last class, we talked about K factor. We wanted to make sure K is greater than 1 and delta is less than 1. So either you can write equation. What you can do, you can use equation and you can write whatever K we studied in the class. K is equal to 1 minus, S11 whole square, blah, 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 ABS whole square. In this whole square, you do like this. You don't have to do all this. what ADS has done, it has already given you a token for calculating your stability factor. In ADS, that stability factor is called as mu. Okay, so you click mu from the left panel, simulation as parameter, bring it here, and then also bring max gain. Max gain is the P available, the maximum available power gain, or sorry, maximum available gain, which will tell us how much is the gain possible from this device. Okay. Now, once you have this, what we will do, we will plot, we will just run the simulation, and then we will plot mu and gain, max gain. So let's go here, say mu1 here, and then max gain here, and use a marker. So let's say our design frequency is 2.3 gigahertz. So we will go to 2.3 gigahertz. Similarly, take another marker, click here, and say 2.3 gigahertz. So you see your mu is less than 1 and your max gain is 18.8 dB at 2.3. Okay. So what do you think? Is your device stable or not? Is your device stable or not? If your mu is same as k, if your k is less than 1, then what happens? You are potentially unstable. You remember from the lecture we studied in the last class. Just quickly, if I go back to that slide. You see, here we studied about stability factor. Actually, it's in the PDF, which which is handwritten note. But we did study about if my k is less than is greater than 1 and delta is less than 1, my device is unconditionally stable. And if my k is less than 1 and delta is less than 1, then my device is potentially unstable. Okay, so in this particular case, my k is less than 1 here, and my gain is 18.8 dB. Now, if you remember, right, we were plotting source and load stability circles. So let's do the same thing. If you go down in this palette, there is something called as S stability circle, SSTBCER. Bring that in, and there is load stability circle, LSTBCER. Bring that in. So there is a load stability circle, and so if you want to read about this, if you click help, it will give you all explanation about what formulas they are using and what exactly this token does. You know, it's pretty good. Like the ADS documentation is pretty good. Similarly, if you go to mu and click help, it will tell you the formula they are using to calculate the stability factor and everything. So you know, it gives you you can read about it, what exactly it is. So it's calculating here. Okay, so anyways, so now let's plot stability circles. Let's have all 4 of them and rerun the simulation. So again, mu is less than 1 and gain is 18.8. I will plot first source stability circle, S step circle, and then I will plot load stability circle. Is everyone following this so far? Are you guys able to plot mu, max gain, and stability circle or no? Mansa? Are you able to plot mu and stability circles or no? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about Daksh?
Yes, sir, I am able to plot.
Okay, good. Now you see this doesn't look right? Because what has happened is it is interesting, you know. You will be like, what the heck is going on? This doesn't seem right. So what you do, double click this, go to plot options, and there will be a button called auto scale. Just uncheck it and put max equal to 1 and press OK. Similarly, at the load stability circle, double click it, plot option, auto scale 1. So what is happening here is these are all stability circles, and since you are sweeping the frequency, you see so many of them. Okay, now in this particular case, if you check your magnitude of S11, right? Let's say your S11 magnitude. Your S11 magnitude is always basically the value is less than 1 in this case. It's not greater than 1. So the center of my circle is stable and rest all is unstable, which means for the load, half of my Smith chart is unstable, which means if you select any impedance here, you will be an unstable region. Now, since we are more interested at 2.3, right? That's the frequency of operation. Let's go back and set S parameters only at a single point. So instead of linear, just do single point. And at single point, do 2.3 gigahertz. Okay. And when I run it, you see these are the stability circles, like how we plotted in the last class when I was talking about different examples. I did plot these stability I did plot these stability circles here. You see, like this, and then we used to check the sign of S11, and depending on the sign, we used to know whether which part is stable, which part is unstable. Okay, so this is my stability circle at my frequency of operation. If you want to change the thickness, you can double click it and change from here. Okay. Anyways, so it means that at the source, all this area is fine. But if I design in this region, it will be a bad area of design. And at the load, this area is all unstable and this area is stable. Now the problem is, usually when you're designing an amplifier, you just don't have to make device stable at your frequency, but you have to make it stable all across the band, starting from low frequency to high frequency, including the harmonics of your frequency, so that your signal is clean and your spectrum is clean. Because if your spectrum is not clean, then what will happen is that you will see oscillations. So let's go back and set S parameters again to what it was, to linear, from 100 megahertz to 10 gigahertz with step size of 100 megahertz, and just run it again. Okay, so you see now again we are getting the same thing. So now what we have to focus on is basically across my 0 to 10, I want this mu to be greater than 1. And we have to basically, what we have to do is we have to stabilize our transistor. So can someone tell me how to stabilize a transistor? We did read this in the last class. So I won't answer it. I want you guys to tell me how to stabilize the transistor. Prabhanshu, can you tell how to stabilize the transistor? We did study it in the last class.
Yes, sir. We used to connect that series resistor by calculating it from
Correct.
constant R circles from the Smith chart.
Very good. So basically, I will take a R. Okay. So let's just experiment. First of all, is everyone able to plot all this? Because from here, all your answers will be unique because it's up to you how you want to stabilize it. Okay. So, Manas, are you able to plot the circles or no?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. So say I take a resistor. I will just show you something and then you guys decide what you want to do. I put this resistor here at the output. By the way, I don't need this IDS anymore, so I can remove it because DC analysis is done. And then I run the simulation. You see all circles are out. You see entire Smith chart is stable. My mu is pretty much greater than 1 through across the band. You know, it's very good. It is stable. But say at 2.3, my gain is now 2.5 dB, which is nothing, which is very bad gain. Anyone remember the max gain? How much was the max gain without resistor? So so if you want to disable it, you click short here. So it will just short it so that, you know, it will just act as a wire. So from this transistor at 2.3, max gain possible is 18.8 dB. Okay. But now when I'm trying to stabilize it by 50 ohm, I get 2.5 dB. So that's not done because, you know, from a device which can give you 18 dB, you are putting a resistor and you are getting only 2.5 dB. So what you can do two things here, and I want you to first see what I'm doing. You go and say history on, and then you can do history off later. So do history on and hit this button. It's like a tuning fork. Okay. Click this button and then click what you want to tune. So for example, you want to tune this resistance. So you will click this R. Okay. And now you will go back and start tuning this R. So let's decrease this R because what is our objective? Our objective is that mu should be greater than 1, but gain should be higher. It should be as close to max gain as possible. So let me decrease the R and see what happens. You see, gain and mu are inversely proportional. When you decrease your, oh my God, who is here? So when you decrease your resistance, your gain is increasing, but then again your stability is getting worse, especially at lower frequencies. You see, this is all good from 1.2 to higher, but if you go 400 meg, your mu is less than 1, which means you will have probability of low frequency oscillations. And if you see your load stability circle, let's do history of, they are started coming inside and if you see at what frequency they are coming inside, place a marker, you will see it will correlate with what you are seeing in mu. Why is it not? Marker mu. So these frequency, if you just hover over it, this frequency should be the low frequency because your mu is less than 1. So you can keep tuning to see if you can stabilize this device or not. So from here, so you can keep going to 18 dB, which is close to what max gain was, but you see your half of the Smith chart is gone. very bad stability. So now your task is, and if you guys remember last time, we had this discussion whether we should put stability network at output or not. There were 4 type of stabilities. Series are at gate, series are at drain, shunt are at gate, shunt are at drain. And I asked this question whether we should put a resistor at output or not, and somebody answered this that it's not advisable, because if you put resistor at the output, you are killing away the RF signal which is flowing to the load, right? Because this resistor is in the direct path. So it's always advisable not to use this resistance in the output path. So now your task is come up with the stability network at input such that your gain is as close to as max gain, but your mu is also greater than 1. So I'm giving you 5 minutes, 10 minutes time, and you guys figure out in this time and tell me what should be the optimum value of the resistance and where it should be. Let's see who does that first. Prabhanshu, what is your solution? What solution do you recommend? And or apart from that, let me ask this question: with whatever stability network you are putting at input or output, what is the maximum gain you can get, given the condition that mu is greater than 1? If anyone else is able to figure out, let me know. Let me also try to stabilize. I will stop sharing my screen so that we can compete. इसको कम करते हैं।
So 5 ohm in series at input and 50 at shunt is giving 17 dB gain.
Who is this?
And
Who
mu.
is
So
saying this?
Prabhanshu.
So 5 dB in series and
And 50 I haven't 50 at shunt I haven't swept yet. So that's giving 17 dB gain and mu is 1.097.
okay, okay. Keep trying. You are still not close to the. You can get better. You can get even higher. So I am getting 18 point, around 18.2. Deepak, what are you getting? Deepak left the call. Okay. What about Mansa? What are you getting? How much did you put the resistor, and how did you see how gain changes and mu changes when you try to tune that resistor? Are you able to follow or not what I'm saying? So what basically I have done is, just 1 second. So see what I did, I added as Prabhanshu mentioned, I added a series resistor, 5 ohms, and a shunt resistor of 90 ohms. When I run this, you see my mu is always greater than 1 and my gain at 2.3 is around 18 dB. But apart from, and see how all the stability circles are outside my Smith chart. So all Smith chart is usable. Okay. So, but what is important here is that, you know, you should see a trade-off. So let me tune this tuning knob and click my resistors because I want to tune them and see. Okay. So one thing is clear, the higher the series resistance, lower will be the gain and better will be the stability. This we know. So say I increase the series resistance. So you see the mu keeps going up when I increase series resistance and gain starts coming down. Okay. For parallel resistance, if I increase parallel resistance, my gain keeps going up, but mu keeps coming down. So I have to find a combination such that I can get maximum gain and my mu is always greater than 1. So to start with, I will go with whatever 5 ohm series resistor, and with that I get something like this, but my mu is less than 1 in this region. So I play with my shunt L. So shunt L, if I reduce it, get better. So almost here. So if I do this, I get 18.5, 18.4, 18.5 if I use series L value 5 and shunt L value of 100 ohms. So if you do that, now you see your Smith charts are clean. No stability circle inside Smith chart. Mu is always greater than 1. And max gain is 18.39 dB. So I'm very close to what my max gain was of the transistor. You see? Did everyone followed it what I did? So I am basically putting this as my stability network. A series R and a shunt R. Manas, did you follow it?
Sir, I'm stuck at tuning parameters, sir. I mean, how?
Yeah, take your yeah, everyone take your time, tune and see what you feel. You have to get a feel of it, just try to get a feel of it. What exactly is happening. um, Tune yourself and see what happens. But as Pravanchu mentioned, using a series and a shunt R combination, that is the potential solution. The values you can determine how much it will be. So keep tuning and keep checking mu and max gain. You have to reach to a point where you can get as high as gain possible, and mu should be greater than 1.
So I like to share once again, sir. I mean, how to do this.
Yeah, do it. Okay, so double click this first, the Smith chart. Go to plot options. Go to click auto scale and make that 1. Same you do there. Double click the Smith chart, not the curves. Plot options, auto scale 1. Okay, so now you see, go to your schematic. Now you added that 50 ohm resistor, right, in the series. Now hit the tuning knob up and click the resistor. Go back to the schematic. Click that R. Yeah. Okay. So now open your your data display and go to go to that ADS, yeah, and bring tune parameter, yeah. Move it on the side and start tuning and see what happens to mu and gain. Put it on the right or left. Right will be better so that you can see both. Yeah. You see, can you move it to the right instead of left, or zoom out the DDS window? Yeah, you see now what you are doing first let's change from step from minimum 0 to, you see min equal to 0, max do 100. Click max below this and do 100, and yeah, increase it. So increase the step size to 5. Yeah, and now move. So you see now but you put a marker. You won't know until you put a marker what is your gain. Go to marker, new, up. Put it on the curve. No, in the max gain. Yeah, just put it. Yeah, and then move it to 2.3. No, escape. Just bring it down. Like, yeah. Keep moving. Yeah. Can you move the box down, the marker box? No, marker box up, where it is displaying the numbers. No. Yeah. So you now type in the frequency you want. Type 2.3. Go click up. No, not double click it. Just click the frequency. Yeah, this. Yeah, and type 2.3. Enter. So you see your gain is 15.9, and you are still not stable across the band. So go back and tune again. Yeah, so if you increase, your gain decreases. Why don't you move that box into your max gain, so that you also have to see mu at the same time, so adjust accordingly. Yeah, move it on the, yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, move it on the right and monitor both of them together. Yeah, now you are getting it. Exactly. So Prabhanshu, for your device, same exercise you can repeat for plotting stability, DC, IV, and then gain, and then we will do matching. So you can use your device for doing the same thing. See what is the stability. You can stabilize and check stability circles and all those things. No. 2.3. It's 1. Yeah. What are you saying?
So, sir, hello.
Yeah.
So, sir, for the DC biasing, where did we put this, in the class A region or
Depends
AB?
on the application. A designer can put it in any region he wants. In this example, I'm taking class A.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So now go and tune it. So you see, keep increasing. So if you increase, your gain decreases. Increase more. So although you are stable now, but your gain is very poor. You were expecting 18 dB, but you are getting only 11 dB. So you go down back. Keep going down. So that's it. So you see, if you decrease further, your mu will go further down below 1 at 1 gigahertz, right? At that point. So again, it's bad. And you're not getting maximum gain. So with single R at input, you won't be able to get the best performance. So you add another element. Now close this. Yes. Now go back to schematic. Add a shunt R, add a parallel R. Control R. Yeah. Connect it with the ground. And now tune both of them.
So how to tune both of them simultaneously?
Go to the schematic. Oh, don't close, don't close, don't close. Oh, okay, it's okay. Go to schematic. Hit the tuning button and click on both resistors. Go back to the schematic, don't close. Yeah, click that resistor. This is already clicked. Cancel. Just click this. Yeah, click R. Okay. Yeah, now go back. Repeat the same exercise. Go back to data display window. Okay. So now series R you have to keep minimum and shunt R you have to keep maximum. So decrease first series R. Go to say 5 ohms because you see you still have a lot of room available. Double click that graph of mu. Just double click, press escape. Yeah, so you see it's greater than 1. And what is your gain? What are you doing? Press escape. Yeah, so you see your gain is 70 dB and your mu is greater than 1. So this is much better, right? So if you go back to the tuning thing, change your parallel R to say 90 ohm. It will be even higher. Your gain is now 18.11. So just do update schematic. Down on the tuning parameter down. Yeah. Close. Yes. Okay. So you see this is your mu, this is your gain, your both stability networks are out and you have stabilized your device. Okay.
Okay, sir,
Good.
understood.
Good.
Yes, sir.
It's good to do it because everyone can see it now. So if even they are not able to follow, they can also follow. So let's stop here today. Next class we will do gain circle and matching network design, and we will continue it. So I guess from now on, I think for another 2 weeks we will only have simulations. I was expecting more students will join, but I don't know, they didn't join because they are not interested or it's a holiday or whatnot. But it is important for them to if they want to learn this, then it's better to start early. and if they ask you guys, you can share what you learned today. And also I will need a report from you guys about the design work from the students. So better will be keep documenting what you are doing, so that you don't have to spend time later. So whatever you are doing today, just take some screenshot and write what you did. The report doesn't have to be very fancy like a word document, but hey, we did DCIV, we selected class A, this was the bias, then we did stability, we plotted mu gain, we saw mu and gain trade-off. To stabilize, we used the series R and a parallel combination. Stability circles before and after stability, mu and gain before and after stability, right? So in that way you will be able to have everything documented in one place, which can help you. Okay, so we will meet then again on India time, Friday morning, right? 9 a.m. I would have also done gain circles, but since some people are not here, I will rather prefer doing it on Thursday, and then we will take it from there. Any questions?
So could you please record this lab lectures?
No, I will not record the lab lectures. If somebody is interested, come, attend, learn. I will not even give you any lab manual so that you can do it. If you can't come for the lab lectures, up to you. Don't want to learn, up to you. I don't care. That's not my job. So yeah, you can always ask your friends if they can help you, but the person who is serious and coming to the class should be given more advantage. So I decided that I will not record anything. And if somebody else records it and later I found it without my permission, then there will be consequences. So with that, we'll meet again on Friday. Take care, guys. Good night. Bye.
So,
Yeah.
now could you send me the license?
I did send you, right? You did you email me, or what happened for the license? Because I sent 3 licenses. Let me check, because I remember.
Sir, in yesterday's mail, there were two MAC addresses. One of them was Manali's. Just
Okay,
received last night.
let me. So Manali's. Okay, let me send this right away. Just give me 1 second. I did send it to them. So these are the only 2 left because. Okay. Key side. Premlata, you got it, right? I sent to Premlata, right? Premlata, you have the license?
Sir, just a second. In case you are sending it right now, why don't you include the one which you have received today? There was some other person.
Yeah, we received. Wait a minute. What was his name? The student.
It was Sumit, I guess.
The problem is I don't know these folks. They don't attend classes, and I mean I am asking Keysight to do it, but every license costs money, and they are just sending it us. So I want to make sure I don't keep asking them again and again. So what's his name? Tarun. Patusha. I added the third one also. So 3 more licenses I have requested. Okay, hopefully we will get it. As soon as I get it, I will send you Manali, because I was not aware that you haven't got it. Um, so I just sent an email. I hope they will. They are very fast. They will reply within a day, so should be okay. So if you can, Manas since and Mansa, you guys have done. If these guys get it and they need any help, please help them out. Or if you are not able to do it before the next class, you can ask me. We can quickly see where you are and go over it. But it's pretty straightforward what we did today, and I guess you are able to relate about what we were seeing in theory and how we do it in practical scenario. That's what the whole purpose is, and how we stabilize, how we see stability circles and all that. So tomorrow, hopefully by tomorrow, I will be able to send you the license. And what's the deal? Why people are not attending the class? Like, I was expecting, because today all this fun stuff started, more people will be there, but I don't see folks. What's any reasons, Mansa?
Sir, it's the same is the case with all other classes.
I see. Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to push anyone because it's such a hard time right now, with COVID and everything. I don't know. You just guys do whatever is convenient, because everyone has a very difficult situation going on at home. So yeah, just take it
And
easy.
on what basis would you be, the assessment tool, like the midterm tool? Because we
So
usually do not have any written exam.
when is midterm two?
Uh, Not no particular date. It's just over a period of time, like let's say in 1 week or that
I was
different
thinking of taking
chooses
the final
different.
exam in May, right? I was thinking of just taking the final exam and assess based on that. Because we don't have time for midterm, because I want to spend at least 2 more weeks on the simulation tool and make sure you guys learn it, because we have license only for a
It's
month.
not necessarily to be an exam. It can be, you can give us some, like we are having this software lab thing. So you can just ask us to do something and we'll be
I got it. So
giving
let's
them.
do exam in May. Let's do exam in May, April end or May first week, because since we have license for 30 days, I want to make best use of it, and I don't want to waste a lecture in just conducting an exam. So maybe May first week we can do it. Okay, is that okay? Or
Said
huh?
midterm two need not to be an exam. It can be a set of assignments. मतलब like
Yes.
every teacher doesn't conduct exams. It's upon you
मैं
whether you
समझ
want
गया.
to.
Got it. Okay. So I can do that. So is it also like, how? But the problem is people are not attending the lab session, and if I give some midterm which uses software, then half of them won't even know like what to do, and then they will
I
just copy.
think that's the whole point of having midterm to something like on regular basis assessment, because it would be a little uh, beneficial for the people who are attending classes. And
Yeah, that I will keep in mind while grading. But okay, so I will send a note and say that there will be a midterm on, it's April, maybe say May 30th. Oh, so no, not May 30th. Sorry, April 30th is Friday. I want to do the class actually. So maybe May. How about I take it on May 5th? I took midterm on May 5th, and I will mention that in an email that the midterm will only be based on the software and simulator, and it will be 1 hour, and I will giving away a problem which you will have to solve using the advanced design tool which you are learning right now. Okay.
We have another subject test on 6th May.
May 5th or May 6th?
6th May, sir.
So it's okay now. We will do it on May 5th. May 5th is okay or no? Because if it is not May 5th, then we have to do.
Sir, how about May 7th?
I am fine. I'm fine. Whatever suits
Yes,
you
sir.
guys. Okay, so May. What we have to do is May. Let me send email right away, otherwise I will forget. Midterm May 7th. And final will be like end of May, right?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I know now people will not tell me, will start telling me we don't have computer, we don't have laptops, we don't have this, we don't have that.
Sir, and sir, this could be the problem. Sir, I think you can do it midterm on the basis of assignments you gave us so far, and probably more assignments.
But
you
I
can
still
give
want,
us.
I still want to write if someone at least will mute yourself, Manas. Yeah, at least people will be more serious about the lab work, because I put in so much effort to get the licenses, and it's very disheartening to see that they don't even attend classes. Okay. Done. So this is done. Anything else?
No, sir.
So yeah, keep playing around with ADS. You can watch some videos. There are plenty of videos online. Learn it. It's a good tool to have. Everyone, all industry uses it. If you are getting exposure to it now, make sure you learn it, because a lot of the times even people who do grad schools, they don't learn all this. So it's good to have it in case in future you want to do higher education, or if you want to go in core electronics field for jobs. You can at least put these things on your CV. Okay. Okay, guys. Then we will meet on Friday. We will do game circles. We will start doing matching networks, and then we will also do transistor EM simulations. Will be after that. So plot GA circle, GP circle, plot for max gain at input, max gain and output, and design matching network. Check what is the matching network response. It will take another, next class will be gone on all that, and then after that we will do some EM simulations, and then we will put EM structures together with my actual transistor. So a lot of things will happen in upcoming classes. Okay. Manali, I will try to get you license as soon as possible, and then let you know.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Bye bye. Take care, guys. Bye.